Rafe Hardy knows what's hot in beauty. As artistic creative director, Rafe is literally the face of sexy hair. He has created looks for sexy hair spokespeople like Cheryl Burke, Kelly Pickler, and Girlicious. Rafe is known for interpreting runway trends and transforming them into wearable, edgy looks that you normally associate with sexy hair. As Sexy Hair's premier international ambassador, Rafe travels the world educating stylists about products and techniques. He's performed on stage across the United States, Canada, Europe, Russia, and Asia. When home in Los Angeles, he's in high demand as an instructor teaching at Sexy Hair's Institute of Courage. Rafe Hardy, I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time. I've followed your career, I've seen your work, and I've read your work, which is really cool in various publications. And I just want you to know I'm really honored that you came to be with us today.
Well, thank you so much, Frank. I'm honored to be here.
Well, that's cool. So let's get into it, because I'm dying to know about you, and I know our students and educators are dying to know about you as well. I know a little bit about your background, and I'm really intrigued. And I'm going to start right at the top. How did you get into this business? How did you get into the hairstyling business?
Oh, wow. Well, I guess my biggest inspiration was my mother. She was a hairdresser, and for many years, watching her do hair, not only in the salon, but as well at home. It was something I thought of in the back of my mind, but, you know, being 17 years old, finishing high school, I wasn't sure if that's the direction I wanted to go. So I actually joined the military when I was 17, spent 4 years in the Army, and you know, basically grew up in the Army, gained some maturity, I won't say all the way, you know, 21 years old, getting out of the military, trying to find a job in the economy the way that it was in the field that I wanted to actually work in, which was radio television. You know, most hairdressers want to be a movie star, but we just end up being in front of that mirror all day. And we are a movie star in our own rights. You know, my mother finally convinced me after moving back home out of the military, 6 months trying to find a job. She said, go to beauty school.
Well, no, wait a minute. You got to tell the story too, which I think is really cool. Before you went into the military, you worked at a grocery store, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I wanted to take karate lessons, so my father said, well, how are you going to pay for it? So
fathers do those kind of things.
Yeah,
you know?
And back then, and he was driven, and you know, he grew up where there's nothing for nothing. You earn your keep. So I actually started out working at a shoe store on Saturdays. Okay. Yeah, believe it or not, at 16 years old, and I wanted to take some karate lessons, so I ended up going to a local supermarket and getting a job as a cashier bag boy, so I could basically start making my own living at 17.
Right.
And funny enough that you asked that, when I got out of the military and couldn't find a job, I went right back to that same food store. I already knew everybody, and I began working there, and that was my only means of income. And you know, as a child, I grew up very, very, I guess, creative. I was always drawing stuff. I was, you know, always just trying to express myself artistically. And went into the military again in radio television production, which was, you know, the camera work and the audio visual and all, and it's still a creative, you know, outlet for, you know, my artistic energy, I guess you would say. And so going back to the food store just wasn't enough for me. There was nothing creative. And again, my mother was a hairdresser, and as a child I can remember my first influence from her was actually helping her study, because I could draw. I used to draw the head shapes and draw the muscles of the face and all the things that she had to go through back then, and I found it intriguing. But again, at 17 years old, you know, I wasn't ready for college. I wanted to get out of small town Louisiana, and that's why I had went into the military. And again, I saw the world and came back, and I was still wanting more. So I listened to my mother's advice, went to a small town beauty school, talked with the instructor, and still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So she offered me 2 days free bono, just come in and hang out and see if you're going to like it. And
she was pretty confident that you would, wasn't she?
Well, I told her my background story about, you know, the creative part and all this. My mother was a hairdresser, and actually she knew my mother as well. And she wanted to see me succeed. And she was, to this day, and she's still cutting hair to this day.
Is she really?
She still has her own salon. She's pushing 70.
No kidding.
Yeah, and
she loves it.
I got in touch with her about a month ago because she was on my mind. A lot has changed in life since then, but she absolutely loves it. And she's, of course, still teaching the stylist that works with her, and she's still into it. Well, after that second day of beauty school, finding out that,
Well, now wait a minute. Now you would come from the Army, which is the ultimate macho stuff. Okay, when you think about it, I mean, it's all macho guys, guys out there marching in military kind of things, and all of a sudden you're out and you decide to go into a totally creative, artistic business, overwhelmingly women. So that had to be an interesting change for you.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. And that's what I discovered those 2 days. You know what, this might not be so bad. I get to, have my creative outlet, so to speak, and just work with about 35, beautiful beauty school students and an instructor that truly did care. And that was really what kept me in. She was all about getting people to the next level and letting them explore their talents and their capabilities, and then also pushing them to capabilities they didn't know they even had. So, I mean, I owe a lot to this woman. Sue Navarre is her name, just so you know out there.
Okay,
so,
good. That's a good shout out for her.
Yeah, good shout out, Miss Sue.
Yeah.
And she was just Miss Sue. Well, I went through beauty school, and of course I worked at the food store the entire time I was in beauty school.
So what's interesting is you put yourself through school. I mean, you borrowed the money from your dad. It was $1,500. This is 30 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and?
I had to pay him back. Plus, I couldn't live at home for free.
Right.
Oh
my God.
So yeah, exactly. So they were pushing me. Even my parents were pushing me to the next level. I went through the beauty school. I was cutting hair 2 weeks after being in beauty school just because she allowed it, and she knew that, I had watched my mother cut to more heads at home than she did actually in the salon.
Right.
You know how family and friends are, right?
Of course.
And I'll tell you a little bit about that later, about family and friends. It was just a fantastic experience. And when I got out of beauty school, well, close to my graduation, I sat down with Miss Sue and told her that, I really enjoy the education part of it. I want to be an instructor. And she said, there's no way. She goes, with what you have to offer this industry, if you want to teach, you want to share with other people, then I suggest you go out there and work for a company and be an educator for a company. Mm-hmm. So she goes, and to get you started, I've already set you up with a salon in Baton Rouge, which was about 50 miles from where I lived. And this gentleman was...
But a much bigger town than where you were.
Much bigger town,
city.
And lots more opportunities,
Sure.
And she knew where I was going before I knew I was going.
No kidding.
Which is...
That's a great educator.
Yeah,
mentor.
She's fantastic. And she knew that I had the ability through, the 9 months of school I was sharing with other students in how to do things. If they would get caught up and I knew how, then I would spend time with them. And you're not always busy. You have time to do your finger waves and to do your mannequins and practice your sets. And I spent more time helping other students because I was, in the military, I also trained as a graphics illustrator. Okay. So I understood angles and I understood, shapes and design and so forth. And it helped me tremendously, and there's no regrets there. But I just wish I would have gotten started in beauty school a little earlier, but hey.
No, I think the military helped you. Don't you think? In your case, from what you told me, it just absolutely was a foundation for you to grow up a little bit.
Yeah, I grew up. You have to grow up very quick because
sure you're on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. You're totally independent.
Right.
But so I went to work in Baton Rouge at a salon who was affiliated with a platform artist, and he was actually his name was on the door, so he was really big into education. And that's when I truly fell in love with education, through assisting him and going out there and seeing the light bulbs appear above these people's heads, and their eyes get brighter.
It's an amazing feeling.
And it to this day, I still have it with me. I can be in a classroom, and just the feeling that you get from knowing that you're helping someone understand their art better, or perhaps grow them in whatever way that you can. And one of the philosophies that I've always taken to heart is that if you help other people grow, then you're going to grow yourself.
Absolutely.
It's almost like when you teach, you learn. And that has carried me through almost 30 years of being in this industry, and just really, really loving what I do, and sharing with others, it's a feeling that can't be explained. Either you want to do it or you don't.
That's right.
And I've always been into, I began education, well, when I got out of beauty school. I assisted this gentleman, was helping him and seeing the things that were possible in the direction that I knew that I could possibly go. And I knew that this is where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be just a hairdresser standing behind the chair. You're helping your clients grow, you're making them look good, feel beautiful. It's something that every artist has to appreciate, and you're getting paid for it. You're making a great, fantastic living doing it, and you're doing your art, because it is art behind the chair. It's not just a hairstyle, and sometimes it really kind of aggravates me when I hear people say, well, they're just a hair cutter.
It's an awful thing. Awful thing.
I'm just a hair cutter, but I can change your life for the next 8 weeks. I can guarantee you.
And sometimes much longer.
Good or bad, I can change your life.
Good or bad. That's a good one.
You're good or bad, I'll change your life. And
but how did you go then from Baton Rouge and the salon? I mean, obviously you had a good mentor there with a very educationally oriented owner. How did you end up making the big switch from, because I think our students and our educators would love to know, how do you go to the next level? And you obviously did it. How do you become an international platform artist? Where did the connection, where did it happen?
First, you have to have that desire, and it's something that you really want to strive for, just like anything else in life. I mean, you're going to have to work for it and do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be. And you ask the right questions, you hang around the right people, and you put yourself in a position where you can meet the right people. Well, I started doing a lot of hair shows, actually going to hair shows, and that was my influence, where I saw people on stage. They were in the spotlight, they were having a great time, they were having fun, they were expressing their art in however way they were, whether it was upstyling, cutting, coloring, or whatever. I loved it all, and I just wanted to be a part of that. And a lot of times we're influenced by people that we see, that we see up on stage. It's like, I want to be that person. I want to do what that person does. So the first thing you do is you become affiliated with a company. You become affiliated with a company that's looking for educators. You put yourself in a position, you practice your skills, you practice not only just your skills with your hands, but as well with your speaking skills, it's just a matter of fine-tuning yourself to getting to the point where you are actually attractive to a company that's looking for educators to go out there and spread their word and what they have to give back to the industry. I happen to see a gentleman by the name of Alan Benfield Bush, who is on stage, platform artist, and just his message, and it wasn't only about the art, it was about how to grow your business, and how to effectively sell yourself behind the chair. Which brings to mind, a lot of times artists say, oh, I'm creative, I'm not a salesperson. And it's depressing when I hear that.
How can you be without being a salesperson? You've got to be able to sell.
Yeah, first thing you sell is yourself.
Absolutely.
And an idea that you have. And then you have to sell a concept of what you have to offer. So you're going to be a salesperson no matter what. And and selling these days isn't trying. Be yourself, have a genuine passion for what you do, be sincere about what you do, and that's going to sell immediately.
Great concept.
And if anything, enthusiasm will always sell.
It will. And I believe, and our company believes very strongly, and I know you do as well,
that it's really more 90% is your ability to communicate and present yourself and market yourself, and it's 10% because the rest of it's rote memory. The rest of it is what you already know well, which is the styling and all the work that goes into that. But after that, it's all about how you market yourself and communicate, just like you're saying.
I agree.
It's amazing.
I agree, and a lot of times, stylists forget that it's when it comes to the client, it's not necessarily how they look when they leave the salon.
Right.
It's how they feel.
That's right.
And if you can change, like I said earlier, change someone's life in that moment, and the stories that I have to share with you behind the chair would take an hour.
Oh, hours, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hours as far as changing people's lives. But
we may just have you back for that, okay? Because it's a very interesting thing.
It would be my pleasure.
It would be a lot of fun.
Because they are inspiring, and I share this when I'm doing not only international but national and domestic shows and in-salon classes and private classes. I share that never forget who you are behind the chair. And you do have that ability. You can change someone's look, but you can change someone's life. And as an educator, a platform artist, I know that I can touch someone differently than just being like perhaps a fellow in-salon stylist that's working with them. My travels are inspiring not only to me, but I hope to others, and the fact that just letting them know that in this industry, you can be any type of hairdresser you want to be.
It's true.
You have to understand how to play the role, though. It goes back to all the cliches. If you want to be successful, hang around successful people. Do what they do. If you're satisfied.
And stay away from the people who tell you can't do it. Okay?
Exactly. The negativity in your life, there's enough of that going around the world today, and you don't bring that into the salon, and a lot of times stylists don't have an opportunity.
Or into the school.
Or into the school.
Okay.
Or into the school. And that's one of the things I enjoyed about sharing time with some of your students, the enthusiasm that they shared, and the questions that they were asking. I can tell that they're motivated stylists behind the chair, and
Rafe, and I'm honored. I'm honored that you came into our schools. You've met some of our students and staff, and I really appreciate the fine comments that you made about them, because the Empire students and Empire staff are just amazing about being enthusiastic and believing in themselves and their skills. But I just want everybody who's watching this to know that you're leaving here right after the Hershey show. You're about ready to leave for Greece, where you're going to be doing, and this is what's so cool about this industry. You're going to Greece to do classes for Danish and Swedish stylist, which is a mind boggler to me. You're going to do one day with the Danish ones, and the next day is with Swedish ones in Greece.
In Greece.
Okay. Now, if that isn't international, I don't know what is. Okay. But that's amazing. But that shows you the demand that there is in the world for your kind of talent, and I'm just blown away by that, and I'm very impressed. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, I'm blown away too, and the venue is going to be fantastic. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I've always, again, had a philosophy that if it's not fun, then don't do it.
That's exactly right.
Because it's in this industry, there can't be an awareness of, as we said, negativity. Right. You can't bring that to work with you. You can't bring that behind the chair. It's almost like, as I said earlier, you're an actor, you're a movie star. When you're behind that chair, you hang up your bad times, your bad day. You hang it at the door when you come in, because the stylists it's their job as a professional behind that chair to service that client.
You're on stage, right?
And you're on stage all day long, whether you're in booth rental, whether you're working out of your kitchen, or whether you're on stage in front of 1,000 people. Then you're truly on stage, of course.
You really are.
But you have to have that awareness of the purpose you're there to serve. It's not just about that haircut anymore. No, it really isn't. It's the big picture.
You've got such an amazing story, and you've got such an amazing background, and the success that you've had in your life is just unbelievable. And I just want you to know, seriously, all of us are very, very impressed by that. And I would be remiss if and I know you're probably you're gonna repeat maybe a few of the things, and that's okay. I would love to have you just tell our students today, what would be your final words here to them? What would be recommendation for how they can be successful? How can they get just a piece of your success? How can they make that happen?
You know what? I think it all starts with attitude. And to be honest with you, you have to want it, just like everything else in life. And again, be willing to do whatever it takes. If it takes spending that extra hour working on that mannequin, if it takes practicing your up styles, you know, because that's your weakest point. If it takes, you know, spending some time with someone who really understands color so that you can formulate like no one else, that's what you have to do. Because I'm here to tell you, you can get a good haircut at lots of different places in this industry today. But I think today's consumer is wanting more bang for their buck, to be honest with you. If you come into, or if a client goes into a salon and they're just getting a haircut, they don't have a story to tell when they walk out the front door. And enthusiasm, again, and stories will always sell. You have to be willing to go that extra mile to service that client and never take for granted that they're going to stay in your chair forever, because someone else is looking. You know,
somebody wants them.
I will steal her from you. I will.
That's
because
true.
You know, but the big scheme of things, you know, doing what it takes behind the chair and making it right, and treating that client like they're your one and only client. I still have a philosophy, though. I'm still running the business. I still want to make a living. So it's my objective to extract every dollar out of her pocket that I can while she's there, because if not, she's going to spend it somewhere else.
Oh, there's no question.
If I don't suggest a shampoo, you know, I mean, a little known statistic, like 40% of clients that were asked, why didn't you buy product, and their answer is because they weren't asked to.
They weren't asked to do it, is it right?
They weren't asked to.
Sad.
So I would say, you know what, practice your skills, practice your people skills as well as your skills with your hands. Understand business and understand what it takes to be successful in this industry, because mediocre is not going to cut it these days. It's just not. You know, you have to rise above the rest in order to shine brighter, to be serious. And that's all I could say. Stay motivated, you know, and if in this beauty industry, it's constantly changing. And if you don't change with it, you're going to find yourself catching up, and that's a longer road traveled.
It really is. You know, and what you were saying about that, it reminds me that of someone told me one time that you absolutely positively treat every single client like a personal relationship. And if you take it, if you ever take someone for granted, whether it's a spouse or a friend or whatever, eventually you're going to lose that friend or that spouse or that, you know, special person in your life. Well, the same thing is true of a customer.
Exactly.
And you made it, and I just love the way you said it. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about this.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
You can't slow down, because you'll get run over.
Yeah, you will get run over.
You will in this industry.
There's somebody in a fast track going to pass you by.
Yeah, I mean, you know, look around. If you're watching this, look around you right now and see how many people that want to make it better than you do. That's going to push you to the next level and say, you know what, I can't stop now.
I'm with you, man.
So
this is incredible. I've enjoyed every second of talking to you. I wish we could do this for 2 hours, but I hope we can get you back sometime to Empire. I'd love to have you come out to some of our schools and to see what we do. I think sexy hair, by the way, and we didn't even get into. I mean, we'd be here literally for another hour. I mean, you train or you do teaching, I should say, in an institute in Los Angeles, which is part of Sexy Hair, which is an amazing operation, and you teach there. And I think the best way to tell people is they can go to sexyhair.com. Am I right? And they can find out about the kind of programs that you do. They can also do training with you if they want to do it.
Exactly, and we welcome any and all people who want to come out. It is a once in a lifetime experience, and I guarantee you, if anything, will change the way that you do creativity behind the chair for sure.
Tell them the name of the institute.
It's called the Institute of Courage.
Can you believe that? I think that's such a cool name.
And you know, the courage part, people always ask about the courage part of it, and basically it's simple as this. You have to have the courage to actually get caught learning.
Okay.
Because once you're
That's
out
cool.
of beauty school, a lot of times stylists go, well, I already know how to cut hair, you know, and I'm satisfied with my clients and so forth. But have the courage to get to the next level. Have the courage to find out a lot about yourself, not just about the art, but the business and the life of it. And we have certain formats that will help you realize some things.
That's pretty cool.
So,
well,
come check us out.
Our students can check it out on the website. I hope they do, and I hope they get a chance to personally spend some time with you.
And you know, I would love to come back and do some classes for your students.
We're gonna get you
I had
back.
a great time last time I was here. So
All right, man. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it,
It's been a
Frank.
real pleasure.
Thank you.
All right,
Anytime.
man. And have fun in Greece, okay?
I will. I'll try.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Take care.